I wonder if you've ever asked the question, who am I? What's the purpose or meaning for my life? I know that for myself, there's been some times where I lie awake at night and I think about this question, who am I and what's the meaning to all of this? There's been certain transition points in my life where I've been forced to think about my identity and who am I, particularly when I finished high school, or when I completed my university course, or when I was married or had my first child. It forced me to think about this question, who am I? What's my meaning? What's my purpose? Have you ever asked these questions, these big life questions before? Well, God, as our Creator, He helps us as we answer these questions. And in fact, in Scripture, we can hear about who God says that we are. In our young adults group here, we've been reading the book, Who Am I? By Scott Ashmon. And it talks about these big questions. And in the introduction, it says that there's often two main pathways that people take in order to answer this question of who am I and what's the purpose and meaning for my life. The first approach is what is called the constructivist view of identity. And all this means is that our identity, our life, it needs to be asserted. It needs to be constructed. We need to build it up. And it says here that this approach sees that the universe and people's existence is fluid and ever-changing, and it lacks much or anything that it's given. Because life is formless, any meaning or aim in life must be created or constructed by humans. So one way we could picture this is if we think of a deck of cards and we're able to have a look at all these different cards, and they have various aspects of our identity or what we aspire to be. So we might want to be arty, or we might want to feel fulfilled in life. We might want to be wise or be popular. So this constructivist view then is, well, we look at all these different cards in the deck and we choose the ones that we want, and we construct our own identity. Now, I think one of the problems with this view is it's so tiring, because we are responsible for always striving to be who we are, to become who we are. Our identity is something that we don't ever reach, but we're always working towards, and it's so tiring to have to do this all the time. Now, the second approach that is mentioned in the introduction to the book, Who Am I?, is what they call a vocational view of identity. And vocation is just a word which means a God-given appointment or God-given calling. And it says this view highlights that there's a profound givenness to the universe and to each person's existence. Amid the many God-given choices that people have in life, for example, what hobbies to pursue, what food to eat, and what form of government that we set up, the essential ingredients of their identity and purpose are already gifted to them by God in creation, through Christ's redemption, in their relationship with others, and the various callings that they receive to care for neighbours and for God's creation in nature. So this is a received identity then. So in contrast to the constructivist view, this is something that we are given by God. It's not something we have to strive for, but God gives it to us, and He gives it to you as well. So how we might talk about this is, instead of having a deck of cards in which we choose from them, but God instead deals us our hand. God gives us our hand consisting of all sorts of different parts of our identity. So he deals out to each person the vocation, the calling to be a child. Every person is placed in a family of some sorts. Some people are even called to be parents and they have children, or called to be husband or wife. Everyone is given the calling, the vocation of being a worker. Whether we're a student or we're a stay-at-home mum or we're a farmer or we're a volunteer, everyone has some sort of work to do that God gives them to do. Because of what Jesus has done, each person also is dealt the card of being a saint. We are justified because of what Jesus has done for us on the cross. And then everyone is part of the priesthood of believers, and you are dealt the card of being a priest. You are called to intercede in prayer for other people. Everyone is also called to be a citizen in their community, to be a neighbour to others and to show God's love. And lastly, to also be a caretaker of God's creation, to be a caretaker of nature. So instead of needing to construct our identity, this approach of vocation, it takes the view that, well, God deals us a hand and we are to receive this hand and we are to live in all of these different vocations which God assigns for us. And of course, we can hear about this in Scripture. And I just want to read one verse to you from 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 17. And here St. Paul writes to the church in Corinth, and he says, "Each person should live as a believer in whatever situation the Lord has assigned to them, just as God has called them." Each person should live in whatever situation the Lord has assigned to them. This is Paul saying that God has dealt you a hand. He's given you all of these various vocations and callings. He's assigned them to you, and he calls you and wants you to live in each of these callings. And that is who you are. You are a child. You are a friend. You are a neighbour. You are a saint. You are a priest. You are a caretaker of nature. And this is our identity. This is our purpose in life. Now, I'm going to be sharing more from this book, Who Am I?, as our young adults group continues to read through it. And I look forward to sharing more insights from Scripture into our identity and who we are as God's creatures.